So sorry I've been kind of MIA lately. It's finals time at my school, and it's been a hectic couple weeks for me. But anyway, what I'm going to talk about today is what some of you who follow me on Tumblr may remember as the great PowerPoint debacle of um, May and June 2013. So I mentioned the PowerPoint that I was going to make for my psychology class about the problems in in Stephen Moffat's Doctor Who, specifically relating to feminism and the way he treats his female characters. And I made that PowerPoint, and I posted it on Tumblr. Big mistake. And shit got real pretty dang fast. It exploded. It went further than I was expecting it to in a million years. Like it's got like over 20,000 notes by now, and a lot of the comments on it were thanking me for what I'd made and for pointing out the problems and saying, "Oh, I hadn't thought of this before. And thank you for pointing it out." And those were really nice to hear. And then some of them were respectfully well thought out arguments about why I was wrong. Um, and those were less great to hear, but also I understood where they were coming from, and I was glad that they took the time to read and respond what I'd written. And then there were the third kind of response I got to that PowerPoint, and that response is the one that kind of sickened me a little bit. And it was also, unfortunately enough, the response I got the most often, and that was the part of the internet that was screaming at me, "Nothing's wrong, don't look here, there's nothing wrong here, no, shh, just don't look too into it, you're looking too far into it, there's nothing wrong." And I think that's something that we do a lot, that we shouldn't be doing. We're saying, here's a thing that I like, so I'm going to ignore the problematic parts of it, because if I point them out, that means I'm not a true fan or whatever. And I think it's a very, very dangerous way of thinking about something. Like, someone sent me an ask on Tumblr, which is, for those of you who don't know, the way we send messages to each other a lot of the time. And there's an anonymous option that you can have turned on or off, and I had it on throughout this entire thing, which was possibly another mistake on my part, given that people are vicious when they can hide behind a bunch of gray pixels that won't show who they are. And I got this message, and it said, "A better title for your PowerPoint would have been me reading too much into a kid's show." First off, a kid's show. It's a family show for the entire family, and I'm sure that whoever it was who sent me that message watched it and liked it themselves, which is why they got so angry at me. And for the second part of reading too much into it, I have a huge problem with someone telling someone who's pointed out something highly problematic and something that they like that they're reading too much into it. I think it's not it's not right that we say that, because there never is any reading too much into something with something like this. I mean, this is a huge part of our culture. I mean, just look at Tumblr culture. A very, very large portion of us are enwrapped up in these stories and these characters' lives for much of our day, and then we go and we blog about them later. And I think it's safe to say that I am not the only person on the planet or on Tumblr who is incredibly, incredibly involved in these. It sounds stupid, but like in these stories, and the things that they tell us and the characters that we meet through them. And if it means this much to me, odds are it means this much to someone else. And I don't want my daughter or my son to look at the computer in several years and watch their favorite show and see women treated like that and think it's okay for them to as well. There was another comment that I got a lot, two of them actually. One was one of the main points about from my PowerPoint was that the companions, the most recent companions, Moffat's companions, their entire lives revolved around the Doctor, like they had no existence outside of him. And one of the most frequent responses that I got was, "It's called Doctor Who, what were you expecting? Of course it's all about the Doctor." But no, actually, that isn't true. Until Moffat took over, the companions were the heroes. They were the ones who saved the day because they were human and normal and special because of that, and in spite of, or whatever you want to call it. But they were the heroes, not the Doctor, not this big alien smart guy. And what's more than that, he was in awe of them. The Doctor was in awe of his companions because they were so larger than life. But the recent companions, instead of the woman who walked the earth and the most important woman in the universe, and Rose Tyler, the bad wolf, the girl who saved the world, we have the girl who waited, the impossible girl, and the Doctor's wife. We have people who sit and wait, and yes, Amy is a huge badass. I do adore Amy, but there are a lot of problems with her character. Don't even get me started on the whole mystical pregnancy plotline. That is that's a can of worms I won't open just yet. But instead of people who save themselves and the Doctor both, and the world sometimes even, we have people who sit and wait. We have people who let themselves be put in prison willingly and sit and wait for their husband to come let them out for a run. And we have people whose entire purpose is to save the Doctor. And yeah, before you jump on me about that comment, I know all about Clara was just an ordinary girl who decided to save the Doctor or whatever. But no, there's a lot of other people have written their arguments about why Clara is a problem much better and more eloquently than I have time for or could now. And finally, we had I brought up the quote from Bells of St. John, where he said, "Is it an evil spirit?" And the Doctor replied with, "It's a woman." And the friar, or the religious guy on the other end of the line, went like this. And watching that episode, me and the people I was with at the time, we just sort of sat there in stunned, shocked silence. Like, did he really just say that? And did he really just mean it as a joke? Because that was about one of the farthest things from funny I think they could have put there. There was no reason for that line to be there. I do not give a shit how timeline appropriate it was or historically accurate it was, because they thought women were worse than evil spirits back then. That joke was there purposefully by the writers to be funny to us now, to make us laugh. And equating women to being worse than evil spirits is not something that I think we should be using as a joke. Whether we are meaning it from thousands of years ago, or from next week, or from earlier today. Women are not a punchline, last time I checked. And I got a lot of angry responses over that one, saying it was timeline appropriate, and I thought it was funny, and what was the big deal? I don't think it's right that we're using jokes like that in this popular media that means so much to so many people and is so, watched in the formative years of so many people, from, childhood through adolescence through young adulthood. All manner of people watch this show and take good lessons from it. And if the Doctor, if this good, kind, intelligent, amazing person who's supposed to know so much more than we can ever hope to, is making jokes like this about women, suddenly it's going to seem like it's okay for everyone else to as well. And it isn't. None of this is in any way okay. And it makes me angry and a little bit sad that people's knee-jerk response to someone pointing this out is it was appropriate for the time. They didn't show us that what he said was bad, that what he did was wrong. It was played off as a joke. And don't even get me started on a lot of the things that are played off as jokes on Doctor Who that are so wildly offensive that I'm just not even gonna try with it right now. But it's something has to change, and our reaction to someone saying, "Hey, this isn't okay. We need to change." That has to change too. Because until we stop shouting down and beating down anyone who ever tries to raise their voice about any of these problems, nothing's ever going to get better. And I don't know about you guys, but I really want things to get better. See you all next week.